and stay in the way. And this guy could not get up. He couldn't get up because I just couldn't. I was trying to get off him. I was trying my hardest to get off of this guy before my left fielder picked the ball up and threw it back in.
That's loud cheating.
Is that loud cheating? Yes. Well, you know who thought it was? Who was unhappy with me? The guy, because the base runner gets up, didn't score, gets up, starts shoving me. I start shoving him. Yeah. We're gonna fight. Luckily, we don't. Cooler heads prevail. And this is the guy. Later on, I found out he was the national martial arts champion in his age group. Yeah. So and the umpire didn't see it. He stayed on third base. We won the game by a run.
How could the umpire not see your fat ass lying on top of the guy for 2 minutes?
I think he believed that I was clumsy. Oh, okay. And because he believed that I was clumsy, he thought this guy is just a giant load who can't get off of this guy.
They say the same thing when they see him in the rest areas now when the police drive by. Same thing.
Didn't Maradona get arrested?
So Maradona didn't get arrested. He did get suspended from FIFA for 5 different drugs in his system that were banned.
5.
So if you're taking 5 different substances, it's not because you want to cheat at soccer.
Were they PEDs or were they recreational drugs?
I think they were recreational drugs. I didn't get the list of the.
I think they were things that you take to mask the other drugs you're taking. And I think that based on nothing really.
So there would be an example if he did do that of a guy who did ultimately win a title by doping. But I think you're not hearing about it like you're hearing about it in baseball and track.
Well, you're only hearing about it in baseball because you get players who are getting suspended because they're cleaning it up.
Well, they had to clean it up when they found out they were all hitting record home runs and they had to haul them in front of Congress. That has not happened in the other sports.
Yeah, I think. Well, when you think cheating in soccer, Dave, I think it's just the stretching of the rules.
Yeah,
the stretching of the
using the rules of the game to your advantage. That is not cheating.
Well, this would be my point: is that the referee is there for a reason, and if the referee or the umpire or whatever other official you've got doesn't see it, then it's fine. And I mean that's what they're there for. So if you can get away with something, didn't you have something, a similar altercation to the one that I described, where you were squaring off with somebody because they were mad at you for something that you had done, and it turned out that they were not a person you should be squaring off against?
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't in a soccer game. That was in an arcade.
It was in an arcade?
Yeah.
What'd you do to cheat at the arcade?
I wasn't cheating. I was insulting his mother over at the bumper cars. And he came over and said, "What'd you say to my mother?" And then we were about to square up, and someone pulled me aside and said, "He's like a black belt. Like, just walk away."
Why were you insulting the black belt's mother?
I don't remember. I was drinking. She was in my way. I was probably in line. I don't remember.
All right. Ultimately, the story lacked that one thing of why he was insulting the 87-year-old mother of the black belt champion. How old was she, by the way, this 87-year-old woman?
I was in my 20s. She was probably in her 50s.
She was in her 50s.
Yeah.
All right.
That was pretty funny. How old is this 87-year-old lady? So quick, within the rules of cheating, so I am coaching the Little League Town Championship, and we are down 8-0 in the first inning, and it starts to drizzle. And I, as the coach, walked out to the mound.
Yes.
And I said to my pitcher, "Listen, do you see the Little League sign up on the press booth? It's about 20 feet above the plate. Your next pitch, I want you to hit it dead center, and I want you to yell to me in the dugout, 'The ball slipped out of my hand, coach.'" It's a true story. In fact, I saw the kid the other day, and he remembers it to this day. So to a T, follows the coach's instructions beautifully. Hits the center of the Little League sign, yells, "Coach, it slipped out of my hand." The umpire goes, "That's it, I'm calling the game." Unfortunately, I didn't read in the rule book. I thought the game would start the next day, 0-0, we start from scratch. No. According to the rules, it resumes at 8-0 in the bottom of the first inning. I just wasted a day of everyone's life trying to use the rules to my advantage. So there's an example of cheating within the rules, and we talk about it, about flopping, about kicking the ball out of bounds. It's not cheating. It's playing within the rules.
Gamesmanship.
I would say gamesmanship. And there's a fine line between gamesmanship and cheating. But yeah, that's the difference with soccer. There is no blatant cheating like baseball or football or basketball.
Like football. Now you're saying there's blatant cheating in football.
Oh, Do you watch some of these football games where
Do you
they're
watch
holding each
some of
other,
these-
grabbing each
do you-
other all the time?
Do you watch some of the soccer games where they're holding each other, grabbing each other, kicking their shins and claiming to be going for the ball?
But that's why there's only 11 players, there's 21 players, but it's spread out over a wide area that can be focused on a referee. You look at an offensive line in football, they're all grabbing at each other, pulling each other down. There's holding on every play.
All right.
My son did something clever once. He was playing indoor, and it was at 30, 40 seconds left. They were winning by 1, and he had a free kick, and you only have 3 seconds. You have to kick the ball real quick, and everyone was down here waiting for the free kick. And the plan was to kick it and then quickly defend because the other team was really pulsating our net, and they were going to get this tying goal, and he was afraid that the defense was falling apart. So instead of kicking it that way, he took his hand and he punched it into the corner. So now it's a handball, but they have to go run, get the ball. By the time they bring it back, at the time when I wasn't at the game, I was working that night.
So genius, but would you call that cheating?
Well, again, I believe that anything you do in the field, it's up to the umpire, the referee.
That's gamesmanship.
That's gamesmanship.
All right,
So I guess when he was walking off the field, he was about 12 at the time. I didn't teach him this. I never thought of that. The other coach was yelling at him, pointing his finger, "You little," and some guy was coming on for the next game, and he went up to the coach and said, "Leave him alone. That was a smart tactic. He outsmarted your team. Shut the hell up." I love it. It's one of my favorite stories. He had actually thought that up.
That was good. And in that little exchange, we came up with the perfect title for Jim's memoir. I just wasted a day of everyone's life.
No, my wife said that after our honeymoon. She said that was a wasted day. No, seriously.
I'm sure she said more than that.
Hey, listen. The baseball stuff.
Yeah.
The beating of the drums. So I ask you, and I ask you, Paul, and I ask you, producer, isn't that gamesmanship?
The beating of the drum?
What the Houston Astros did, was that not gamesmanship?
It's an interesting point. I mean, the guys.
No.
We've all played baseball.
Okay,
We've all
but-
been taught to steal signs, right?
If you're hitting the drum because you can see it, that's one thing. But if you're using video to see it to relay to the drummer, video is in the rules. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I think this is one of the problems because you say to people, steal signs, do this, do this.
Everybody who's played baseball.
And you have the technology. You have coaches in the NFL and coaches in college and probably coaches in high school that are paranoid about people spying on their practices. Spying on their practices. So everybody's paranoid about it happening. They've also got to be under the belief that everybody's trying to do it. So this is similar to the Olympics, where everybody thinks that everyone else is cheating, gives you the right to cheat. So it creates an interesting ethical circle. Let's move to the next thing. Sure. Let's move to something a little happier. Let's give a shout out to these teams from Connecticut. A couple of high schools. Xavier of Middletown, Connecticut, ranked number one by maxpreps.com this week. Number 2 and number 3, Fairfield Prep in Stonington. That's among the boys' teams. And among the girls' teams in Connecticut, number 1 is Glastonbury, which is where my uncle used to live. Number 2 is East Lyme, home of Lyme disease. Yeah. And finally, number 3, Waterford, possibly the home of Waterford Crystal. Is it really? Are you sure?
No.
You don't know. All right. Also,
Connecticut is a very good soccer state, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
In New England, Mass, and Connecticut are the 2 best.
I'm surprised that Connecticut doesn't have a pro team in Hartford. I always thought that there would be.
They do have a pro team.
Oh, they do.
They play in the USL.
What am I even doing on this show? This is horrible. Hartford's all right. Never mind. All right.
Thank you for the Lyme disease joke.
We're gonna have to just cut this out. Just edit this part right out of there. From the part where he starts talking. All right. Hey, and also we want to give a shout out to the New England Revolution, who won the Supporters Shield by backing in with a loss and a tie from
Seattle lost.
They won the Supporters Shield, sponsored by Jockey. Paul, what does this mean? Thank you. What does this mean, Paul?
Okay, so you have your World Cup where all the countries play to find out the best country in the world in soccer. Then they have a Club World Cup. We want to find out what the best club is. So we have various tournaments around the world.
Okay,
UEFA tournament is the best team in Europe.
Yep.
Often won by Barcelona, Chelsea, Bayern. the area that the U.S. is in,
Oh,
CONCACAF,
CONCACAF.
has its tournament called the CONCACAF Champions League. So you can
CONCACAF.
imagine how excited this would be
Yes.
if the Revs win the CONCACAF Champions League.
Say that again.
CONCACAF.
I love that.
Against some of these Mexican giants, and then go to the FIFA Club World Cup and play a Barcelona or a Bayern. That would be insane. Absolutely. And I don't know where that is, but it's usually like in Asia or some remote part of Japan.
Yeah,
they have it a lot.
Because they usually don't have a skin in the game
It's
in
on
that area. So it brings soccer to that area.
It's usually on at like 4 a.m.
Yep. And we're going to come to your house, Dave, to watch it.
That's fine.
we should get
Fine.
together
You
and
let
watch
yourselves in. You let yourselves in. Don't worry about security. All right, let's move to the next topic. I'm just so glad we get to say CONCACAF. That just made my
Every show
my
we
day.
should at least mention CONCACAF.
We should change the name of the show. We should be CONCACAF heads. Finally, what impact does the head coach have on the 5 major U.S. sports? We want to look at all the sports. We want to talk about the coaches. You two have both been soccer coaches, so I think we know where soccer sits among the 5. Where does the coach have the biggest impact?
Can we start with the least impact?
Well, we know what it is.
Basketball.
Basketball's the
I
least.
say is the least impact.
Because they don't draw up
I go
plays.
hockey, but you give your list first.
They don't draw up plays during the timeouts. They don't have to motivate these gigantic freaks of nature.
We're strictly talking professional, correct?
We're talking professional.
Okay.
Giant
I
egos.
say NBA basketball is you get it. You know who's going to take your shots. I had a friend friend of mine's friend coached for the Knicks, coached for Milwaukee, coached for the LA Clippers, and half the timeouts is Johnny didn't get his number of shots according to his contract, and he better get the ball to take a shot today. So half the conversations are who didn't get enough shots during the game, and it's their turn to take their shot.
Okay.
So the timeout is almost like a babysitting session.
It's all babysitting. You wouldn't believe what these basketball coaches have to go through.
Oh no, I don't.
It is really babysitting.
I believe you've got to negotiate these incredibly large egos. I think you've got some people, Kyrie Irving, who don't think like the rest of us, mental illness. Mm-hmm. And I think that therefore, I think the basketball coach's job is pretty difficult.
So if you listen to these pro athletes talk, if you listen to Charles Barkley talk, he'll tell you, we call out our plays and everybody knows our play. The other team knows our play, we call it. They know what's happening. It's their job to defend it. There's no secret to what these plays are called and what they're doing. It's the talent on the court that runs it. Listen, if Casey Jones can win a world championship in basketball as a coach, that'll tell you right there is no coaching in NBA basketball.
Bird used to come out of the time and tell them, if the play's for me, let's see you stop me, and he would hit the shot.
Right? And you don't think LeBron James ran that whole team and ran everything, and all these players run. I think basketball, to me, that's on the bottom.
All right.
And I think baseball is second.
You think baseball is second from the bottom?
I think baseball is second from the bottom.
Okay.
Such an individual sport. It's streaky. There's not much to it once you roll your 9 out. There's not much to it after that.
Oh yeah, because nobody pinch hits. You never make. You never
go
make.
on the bottom of the stand, hit that barrel too. That's
true.
You
You gotta steal.
You have to assign a barrel.
You gotta steal the signs. You gotta steal the signs.
Not taking account for you.
Oh my goodness! All right.
I would say soccer is probably just ahead of that. I'm not going to put soccer as number 1. I think hockey is a very difficult sport to coach.
Why is hockey difficult?
I think because you have to have a certain format in your hockey style. Your hockey is based on your style, how you want to rotate, how you want to circle, how you got to arrange your lines. You have 4 lines. You got to do a lot of matchups. You got to pick a goalie that might be good. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of moving parts to hockey.
I have gone to hockey games. I have sat in the stands, and I know exactly how to win hockey games.
Oh boy,
because I've heard them.
Put the sumo wrestler in the net.
Skate, and then shoot the puck, and skate.
I think football's probably the most difficult.
Football's the most difficult
to me. That's just my list.
Here's your list. Number 1 is football.
Yep.
Why football?
Football, both sides of the ball, very specialized. You have monster athletes. It's all based on leverage and pressure. And there's 70 plays on offense, roughly 70 plays on defense. They have to be mapped out. You have to have, I don't know, you're dealing with a lot of players. You're dealing with 53 players.
And
That's a lot.
And you have to motivate fat guys.
And you have to motivate fat guys not to get too fat during the season. Yeah, I just think football's number one. I would put hockey at number 2, soccer number 3, whatever number 4. And
4 was baseball, 5 was hoop.
Five
Because in
basketball.
baseball,
That's
they don't do pitch